for New York and sending a message to the nation.
Welcome to this week's edition of New York Now. I'm Dan Clark. More than 2,000 people are now hospitalized with COVID-19 in New York. We're now at levels that we haven't seen in more than 5 months. And it's likely to get worse in the next few weeks after people come together for Thanksgiving. Indoor gatherings of more than 10 people are now banned to reduce the spread of the virus. So that means big Thanksgiving dinners are technically not allowed this year in New York. That isn't stopping some people, and a handful of county sheriffs around the state say they're not going to enforce the rule. And that has Governor Cuomo even more worried about a post-Thanksgiving bump. Here he is this week.
I don't believe as a law enforcement officer, you have a right to pick and choose what laws you will enforce. This living room spread is the new problem. And it will go up after Thanksgiving.
And Cuomo met this week with President-elect Joe Biden to talk about what states need from the federal government moving forward. Let's break it all down with Anna Grunwald from Politico New York. Anna, thanks for being here.
Happy to be here.
So the COVID numbers in New York, if you look at the curve that the state puts out every day, the graph, it's very clear that we have gone from a low to we are going up. And I think everybody's question, at least upstate, is I think we're all waiting for the shoe to drop in terms of, are we going to go back into a full lockdown? So talk to me about what the governor is doing right now and if he's given any indication on more severe restrictions that are coming.
Well, I think it's been fascinating because we see that curve going especially up in places in Western New York. I know we've already had some spikes in the southern tier. And so there, I think the governor is looking at it on a regional perspective and is still trying to go forward with his plan to target these microclusters, he calls them, that he puts them in different color-coded zones and says, well, we're going to take more specific restrictions here and others not so much quite here. But when we're looking at numbers go up across the state and some of the places even that were initially taken off more restrictions are now being put back on, I think everyone's just kind of feeling anxious that we're going to lose some things that we got back as kind of a privilege for getting our numbers down. So far, that hasn't been the case, though. We've seen that schools closing has been largely up to localities if they hit certain numbers or if they fall into a microcluster zone. And that's, I think, been a little bit confusing for some people who wonder if we see a lower spread in schools, a lower spike in schools, why aren't we doing something about places like restaurants or gyms?
Right, exactly. We saw schools in New York City close this week, at least through Thanksgiving. We don't know when they're going to reopen. And I remember the governor saying either last week or 2 weeks ago that, or it was over the weekend,
all runs
last
together.
weekend. Yeah, exactly. He was saying on a conference call with us that he was suggesting that New York City should take the positivity rate of the schools themselves versus the positivity rate of the actual borough. And if the school was below 3%, then you could keep the schools open and then they would reassess everything. So this week we had kind of a strange interaction between the mayor and the governor. I don't know if you saw Jimmy's story in the Wall Street Journal about the phone call day. I think what was it, Tuesday? Or Monday, you're right, the days all run together, that the schools were closed.
Right.
You had a very testy exchange in the Red Room with Jimmy, and you were there.
Yeah, I think it was interesting. One, it was interesting because we saw the governor and the mayor say the same thing in largely different timelines, but that's kind of new for them. And two, it seemed to be that he really wanted to stick with saying the mayor could do what he wanted with schools. And when people were asking about the discrepancies in their numbers or even in the timeline that we saw, he became very upset and very defensive of the plan that he had already put in place and seemed set to follow.
I think we're at a time right now where we have gone past the first wave, and I disagree with his analysis that a second wave is when the virus mutates. I think that it's very clear that we are on some sort of wave. I mean, even the shape of a wave, we're there. It's so scary as to what's happening. And I think what's happening right now is the governor is taking some criticism for things that he may have done in the past to prevent the first wave. He's not doing them right now, like closing things down earlier, stuff like that. And he said that in the past. We have about a minute left. I want to pivot to the elections really quick. So Senate Dems picked up a few more seats this week that they had won through absentee ballots. We are talking on Friday, and as of right now, they have 40 seats they have won. They've declared victory. What's your predictions? Do you think we get to 41, 42?
I'm going to call 41, but there's no way of knowing that. Just like we all tried to make some analysis after Election Day, we see these ballots come in and they switch. And if you look at it as a glass half full, it makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. Love to see the results as they continue to come in. The absentee ballot process is so slow in New York, and I know that's something that lawmakers are looking at maybe for next year's session. Hopefully we don't have a pandemic to cause so many absentees, but we'll see. We'll leave it there. Anna Grunwald from Politico, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.